So I'm Josh Iguato. I'm co-founder and president at Jam City. We're one of the top 10 US mobile game developers. We founded the company 10 years ago and have grown ever since to about 500 employees now. We do a mix of both internal IP and third-party Hollywood IP. So our internally developed games include Cookie Jam, which was a Facebook Game of the Year, and Panda Pop, and some of our third-party IP games are Family Guy, Snoopy, Marvel, Avengers Academy, and later this spring we're launching Harry Potter Hogwarts Mystery, which we think can be one of our biggest titles ever. We're very excited about it.
And that's our scheduled time for today, so thank you. No, I'm Mike Blank. I'm head of mobile at CAA. I do partnership deals with our celebrity and athlete clients with developers like yourselves. And on top of that, I sit on the board and help found a new startup studio in Vancouver called Creative Labs. So I'm really excited to be here today, talking with Josh about Hollywood IP, celebrity, and mobile games. I'm going to kick it off with you. Question for you.
Okay.
How does mobile and mobile gaming, in your mind, play into the future of digital entertainment? Starting light and easy.
Okay. So thinking about it sort of very, very broadly, let's start at a high level. Consumers are now spending more time with mobile devices and consuming content on mobile devices than they are on television, on film. It's not a niche anymore. Mobile entertainment has become the center of entertainment and the cutting edge of entertainment. And the most consumed type of content on mobile devices are games. So we're lucky to be at really the center of everything right now. It feels very exciting. I think it's also a moment when gaming is going from being sort of more, I think, male-oriented and frankly pretty aggressive to a place where there's a huge place for casual games, for women who are excited in gaming, and so our user base actually skews female and our games skew more casual, which is where we feel like mobile entertainment is going.
Nice, very good.
So how do you think about event-driven versus fully branded opportunities for your clients? And for those of you who don't know, it's really a treat to have Mike here, who in Hollywood is the digital guy. Anyone you would ever want to work with, Mike will post those deals together. So anyway, how do you think about events? How do you think about events versus fully branded opportunities?
So we do both.
Okay.
And we will do brand new original IP, new games with our clients and partner them with developers. We did Gordon Ramsay's game with Glue, or Demi Lovato and Pocket Gems inside Episode. But we'll also, to your point, we'll do more of these event-driven, what I call like a cameo opportunity with celebrities in existing games. So, we worked with them on the Family Guy game where we brought in Avril Lavigne to headline Peter Palooza when Peter decides to throw a music festival in Quahog, or Arnold Schwarzenegger comes to visit the town for Valentine's Day. Things like that is something that's really interesting. Those processes are definitely different. When it's a full branded game and a brand new IP, it takes a lot longer, right? There's a lot of development that leads up to it. It's a lot of collaboration to create that true partnership with the talent. The shorter cameo stuff, it's more interesting. And I think, it's really particularly exciting for a developer that already has a game that maybe hasn't worked with celebrity before, to sort of dip their toe in the water or walk before you run, the sense of figuring out what it's like to work with a celebrity or an athlete or something like that and to bring them into the game. It's also for the players of the game, it's a treat, right? It's a nice way to engage existing users, re-engage maybe previous users, or then also drive new users to the game who've perhaps never played before. But we're looking for a balance. We're looking for a mix of, and I think all developers should be thinking about their mix in terms of events being branded versus unbranded, games being branded versus unbranded. It's probably actually a better question for you. How do you think about sort of your mix at Jam City in terms of licensed IP games versus your own internal IP? And then is there some sort of timeline that you're thinking about in terms of how long to wait between these sort of franchise launches?
Yeah. So first of all, to the point of events versus fully skinning a game, I'll say that there was a time when I never even realized that that was an option, where it felt like, okay, we're either going to do a Family Guy game or we're going to do Cookie Jam or some other IP we developed in-house. And the idea that we would take Cookie Jam or Panda Pop and do a 2-week event, or would even take Family Guy and then put, let's say, Die Hard over it or Star Trek over it. Fans love it. If you have to do it in a way that feels authentic, obviously, but it's just, as a game developer, it's something everyone should think about, because I think there's really interesting ways that are pretty untapped right now to just do great, 2-week, 3-week, month-long events that fans really like. But to answer your question about sort of thinking about the right mix between third-party IP versus internal IP, frankly, it's a tough one. There are definitely pros and cons with both. And I think from our perspective, you can have both. So we're about 50-50 right now. And for us, that feels like the right mix. The benefit of launching, a brand or a world that you've created yourself is you have full control. You can do whatever you want with it. The development cycles are much more efficient because you don't have to go through that approval process. And obviously, if you ever want to do a sequel, or if you want this franchise to live in other worlds like television or film, and we're looking at opportunities like that, you have absolutely no restrictions on what you can do. Flip side is, and I'll use this Harry Potter game as an example, everyone knows the Harry Potter world. So when we come to market with a Harry Potter game or with a Family Guy game, you're typically going to see a really big uptick early on. And fans, you don't have to do as much sort of getting fans or players up to speed on what this world represents. It's like a pilot of a new television series where you spend the whole time trying to explain what's going on and introduce characters. People know who the characters are in Harry Potter. They know who the characters are in Family Guy or Snoopy. And so it just allows you to really hit the market with a bang rather than slowly build it up over months. Or we've had games that take 3 or 4 years to really hit. And so it's nice with a third-party IP to be able to go to the market with all that momentum. So can you talk about any instances where a developer was too reliant on a celebrity or brand?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, like the most important thing is you have to make a great game, right? And that is step one. And then 1A, equally important is that it has to be something that is authentic to both the celebrity themselves and their audience. And fans are really smart. They know when something's not authentic. They can sniff that out right away. And it's getting celebrity involved really early in the process in terms of creating that collaboration, getting them involved, making sure that it's something that they're proud of, that they are excited to share with their fans. I think the idea of slapping a name on something and then hoping it does really well, that's not going to work, and never has and never will. And everything, all the considerations that are being made for an unbranded game should still be made for a branded game, right? It comes down to what's your launch strategy and your marketing plan and everything else. And what celebrity can do really well is it's like jet fuel and can be an accelerator for a particular game or a particular title. It can drive up LTVs and drive down CPIs and all of those fun metrics that we like to talk about. So that's a huge benefit and a huge value add. But if you don't have that good game, you might see the pop and drop, and or if you don't have that authenticity where someone the fans don't relate to the content and don't think it's right or doesn't make sense for whoever it is that's working on it, that's a problem. And we're very lucky with the clients that I've gotten to work with and the developers that we've worked with, that they've been really early, they've been involved, they've been in the writer's room, they've been coming up with creative. They obviously rely on the developer's expertise when it comes to game mechanics and monetization and other things, but it creates this true partnership in a way that's much deeper than a traditional licensing agreement. So,
yeah, I would actually say just to that point is, I think part of your process, even internally as a game development studio, can affect the likelihood of success. So that authenticity comes from really matching, the celebrity or the brand with the game mechanic. And we've had times where, our biz dev or our IP guys say, oh my God, this brand has you know, these kind of Q scores and this many viewers, and so let's slap it on that game, and they kind of force it. And those have always been the worst sort of events and opportunities. The great ones are when the people who are actually writing the content, writing the stories, designing the game say, oh my God, my dream IPs are this and this, because wouldn't it be hilarious if, like you said, Peter, you know, were captaining the Starship Enterprise and they were all pimped out in their outfits, right? So
yeah.
it's got to be organic, it's got to be authentic, and how you manage the developers to come up with those ideas, I think, can maximize your chance of success.
Are there, you know, other considerations for you and the team when you're thinking about licensing an IP? Is it, you know, the authenticity definitely seems to be key, but is there, you know, are you thinking about the IP is the most important piece, the team behind the IP? Are there other considerations, you know, for people that maybe have not done anything in that space that they should be thinking about if they're interested in it?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's frankly pretty tricky. I think, for instance, there have been times where there's a new IP or a comic book or a film that's going to come out when our game is launching, and it feels like it would be a perfect fit, and we should do all the work and investment to make that happen, but it's an unproven IP. And I'd say those situations work out 50% of the time, but that's frankly not enough. Yeah. And so what we found is we've started to sort of err on the side of proven franchises, evergreen IPs, and, you know, if we're going to do something new and fresh, we're going to work with, you know, a genius writer, and we're going to own that IP. And if we're going to start something new, let's do it internally. If we're going to license something and pay the rev share and deal with the original creators and trying to get IP approvals, et cetera, we're going to go with something where it's not necessarily a guaranteed hit, but there's a very proven fan base that wants this type of content. So I would just say, do your homework and don't get caught up too much in like, this is going to be great. You'll see it when it gets there. Like, sometimes you got to go with something that's absolutely proven, absolutely there, and not take that risk. Because 2 years of development, millions of dollars, there's a lot of jobs at stake. You got to make sure you're making the right decision right from the start. So, so speaking of which, you've talked a little bit about celebrity. We've talked about licensing film and TV. Can you talk a little bit about how the process is different things you should keep in mind when you're thinking about different types of IP?
Yeah, definitely. You know, when I think about TV and film IP, it's definitely very different from working with a celebrity or an individual or an athlete. And I think, you know, the main reason why is because the celebrity or the athlete's a person, right? They're a human being who, you know, lots of people view them as a brand, and they are, but they know themselves, they know their brand, they know their audience better than anyone in the world, and they get very passionate about the projects that they're working on, can get very involved in the process. You know, on a TV film or a film property, you know, there's a ton of passionate fans, to your point, and you're not starting from zero, which is super helpful, but there might be, you know, 4 or 5 Star Wars games that come out, or 4 or 5 Marvel games that come out, and you wouldn't really ever see that with a celebrity or an individual, because to get that authenticity that we're talking about, to create the partnership that we really want, the celebrity is getting involved super early in the development. You know, you know, for example, like when we did the Demi Lovato game, you know, the team came down and they saw her in concert, and they went backstage and they got to see what that was like. And, you know, she's part of the writer's room, and she's come up with stories, and she's giving unique insights into her life and what it's like to go on tour with her, because that's what the players of the game want to experience. They want to know, you know, what would it be like if I went on tour with Demi Lovato? And to create that authenticity, the person who knows it best is Demi Lovato. And, you know, what also then is unique, though, about the individual is that once season 1 of the game came out, you know, and she had done a ton of input and ton of creative work on that first set of stories, you know, she started writing new chapters and new summaries and all sorts of stuff, and had direct dialogue with the developer, and she's sending them ideas like, oh, guess what just happened on tour? I think it'd make a great chapter in the game for season 2. Like, oh, I just remembered this story. And, you know, you can't get some of that level of authenticity and that level of insight from a TV or film in the same way. But, you know, it obviously, like you said, there's pluses and minuses to both. But for me, it's really rewarding when we have clients and we have talent that are really passionate about these projects and want to make something special for their fans to get it out there, and then see success is great, but just know that we've made a quality product that those people are going to really resonate with.
Are those celebrities typically providing social support?
Yeah, and a lot of the reason why they do that is because they've spent at that point over a year of their life working on this project in secret a lot of times, because it's not necessarily announced ahead of time, or if it is, it's a month before or 2 months before, and they've gone back and forth to San Francisco, and they've visited Apple, and they've gone to they've done all the things because they really, really care about making a high quality product. So then when it comes to actually launch, they're excited and they want someone to play it and they want people to see it, and they hope that it resonates with the fans the way they think it could.
Fantastic.
But I think not all film TV IP is like that, and you guys sort of are with one of the unique ones with Harry Potter that up until now has not really ever had a presence on mobile, and so I'd love to get some insights. You knew it was going to come into what it's like having worked on such a beloved franchise in Harry Potter, and what do you think it means for the fans of the franchise, and anything you can share. 2 weeks, game's launching in 2 weeks. I'll get that out there right now.
Honestly, I'm pinching myself. I think working with a franchise like Harry Potter is a dream. It's got such a passionate fan base. It's got this really deep, very rich world. So being able to create a game that intersects with that fan base and that deep world is just, there's nothing more you could ask for. So going into it, we were really, really excited. I think how the game was set up also gave us a lot of flexibility. So it's a bit of a prequel to, well, I shouldn't say it's a prequel, but it's set up before the books and films. And so we had a bit of a blank slate. We had total freedom to be able to really tell a story and take some chances in terms of what the game was providing. And so, yeah, it's a franchise that has a perfect mix of freedom and depth. And again, this fan base is like no other game we've ever seen. So leading up to this launch that you mentioned, we've got more pre-registrations, we've got more fan videos by multiples than we've ever had for any game before. And I think it speaks to the strength of the franchise, and also I think what you mentioned, which was a really good point, it's just a franchise that hasn't been, you haven't seen a lot of it on mobile platforms, and so the user base is very excited for it. I think the Harry Potter fans no longer get Harry Potter stories through film or books, and we feel like this is an opportunity to really continue to fulfill that need for super fans of Harry Potter.
When we talked about authenticity and as it relates to celebrity and individuals, but I think authenticity here also plays a key role, because I've gotten some sneak peeks at it, and it just really clearly seems like a game built by fans for fans, and that they love the IP as much as the fans of the game are going to.
Yep.
And that really comes through in the quality of it. And personally, I'm just very excited to finally wish fulfill and go to Hogwarts and live out my lifelong dream.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Excellent. Cool.
I think that's it for us. Thank you all.
Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it.
There is a Jam City coffee hour happening where you can get your own beautiful mug back there. So thank you again.
Thanks, everybody.